Hi, it's Maria, and welcome to the second half. Teenage girls are in crisis. A recent survey of more than 17,000 high school students found that 30% of the girls had considered suicide. 30%. That rate is double that of boys. What's also worrisome is that rate is about 60% higher than it was 10 years ago. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention report, the pandemic took a harsh toll on teen girls' mental health. With me today is David McGee, who lost his son to an accidental drug overdose and wrote the best-selling book, Dear William, a father's memoir of addiction, recovery, love, and loss. His upcoming book, Things Have Changed, What Every Parent and Educator Should Know About the Student Mental Health and Substance Misuse Crisis, gives parents a clear roadmap for navigating painful struggles that many students face, including mental health issues, substance abuse, and more. David, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much.
Tell me, what is going on with our teenagers?
Teens today are struggling like we've never seen before in this country. And for a lot of reasons that we don't yet fully understand, young women are being disproportionately impacted. And I've seen the CDC report that says, there's higher suicidal ideation, depression that young women are feeling. And when I'm in schools, I have to tell you, Maria, I actually see that real time because I'll be talking to students about mental health and substance misuse, and I'll look across the audience sometimes in middle school and early high school, young women are just wiping tears streaming down their face. And it's time that we realize things have changed and we really got to help them get out of this.
How much of social media do you think is to blame?
I think social media has a huge role in it. I can tell you that in my family, for instance, including my wife, says every single female in my immediate family has shared that at one time or another, there has been some level of social media. I don't need this. I can't do it anymore. Impacted in their life. And I'm not saying it doesn't impact men and young men as well, but specifically talking about what's happening with young women today, social media clearly has a role. It sets them up for both being objectified, comparisons, like there's something real happening there, and studies show it, but we have to take those studies and better reach out to students and teens today to meet them where they are, not to just say, hey, this study says it's a problem, right? But also, how can we help you?
So what signs should parents be looking for?
Yeah. Well, I always tell parents, look, teens are teens, and sometimes it's hard for them to make eye contact. But if your teen just is at a point to where they just over a prolonged period cannot and are not making eye contact with you, that's a warning sign. Maybe it's not a mega crisis, but maybe you want to try to help figure out what's going on, and maybe they need some counseling. Mood changes. What I always tell parents, though, is it's in particular, we need to quit telling teens and young women in this instance how they should feel. Everything's great, cheerleading them on. They don't need cheerleading so much as they need us to ask them, how are you doing? They need us to ask them open-ended questions to be able to let them explain to us where they are, how they're doing.
Okay, so those are some good tips on how parents can reach their teens. Are there any other short tips that you have?
Yeah, look, the number one thing is they need to be seen and heard. My daughter battled an eating disorder, and I'm proud to say she's years in successful recovery now. But I remember her at one point standing in front of my wife and I and saying, I need you to see me and I need you to hear me. What I am facing is real. And it's as real as the boys. My son's battled with substance use disorder. And being seen and heard is so critical. We want to tell our children what they should do. And you should go star on the soccer team and make A's. And don't you want to have this many friends? But the reality is we need to find out, what do they want and who are they and how are they? And then when we can get them having those conversations, it often can point us down the road of, do they really need some counseling or therapy right now to help them manage these feelings? And what I would say to parents, look, we know suicidal ideation and depression is spiking in teens today, and in particular teen young women. Get them help. It works. Counseling and therapy works. Don't be afraid of the stigma. Get them in counseling, and it will help them process feelings in a way that parents just can't always do.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Why are you so passionate about all this?
Thank you. I'm so passionate, I think, because my family was broken in every way. When I got married, my wife and I just thought we were chasing this American dream. We would have children. We had 3. We wanted our children, we're just like all parents, we wanted our children to have it better than we had it. And what I didn't understand, though, is that things had changed, and we ended up with 2 sons in substance use disorder, battling anxiety. They made A's, start in sports. I taught young adult Sunday school class. On paper, we looked so great. But in truth, our sons were struggling with substances, our daughter struggling with eating disorder. I was struggling with substances, ended up in divorce, though I did ultimately turn my life around and remarry my wife. That just helped us understand this is a family issue, and our children feel our stress and they feel our pains, and often they'll live that out, So my role, I feel like, is being called to help families and students normalize this and know it's okay. You're not alone, and we can do something about it.
Amazing. Thank you. Where can people find you?
They can find me at daviddmcgee.com. That's MAGEE, daviddmcgee.com. And I host a podcast for parents called the Mayo Lab Podcast, MAYO, the Mayo Lab Podcast with David McGee. And we talk about a lot of these subjects. Check it out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, David, for joining us today. Thank you for joining
me. You're great.
me.
I appreciate what you do.
Thank you.